Hello class! In this video, we will finally talk about solid mensuration. Solid is any limited portion of space bounded by surfaces or plane figures. If we use lines to enclose planes, we use plane figures naman to enclose a solid. That is why we form what we call space. Okay? There are different types of solids like right circular cylinder, pyramid, cone, and sphere. And here, today, we will talk about rectangular prism. So, like I said, we have different parts of a solid. First, the intersection of the bounding planes are called edges. So here, this is an example of an edge. This is also an example of an edge. So here in the figure, we have 12 edges. How about the intersection of edges? We call them vertices. This is a vertex. This is a vertex. So, lahat ng kanto dito are called vertices. How about the planes, no? That bounds the solid. They are called faces. Okay? Lahat ng surface na nakikita nyo dyan are called faces. Meron ding diagonal ang mga solid. For this one, the diagonal is the line being formed by two non-coplanar vertices. This is a vertex, correct? This is also another vertex which is not on this front plane. Correct? So, pag kinonect ko yan at saka ito, we call it diagonal of the solid. Meron pang ibang diagonals dyan. Pwedeng ito, tsaka to, forming a straight line is also a diagonal. So, in this solid, we can have four distinct diagonals. We also have section. This is a plane figure formed by the intersection of the plane. So whenever you cut the solid and you form a surface, the blue surface here, you can see the blue one here is called a section. Right section is a section of the solid that is perpendicular to one of the lateral edges. And we will encounter such parts in the preceding discussions. Pero ano nga bang kinukompute natin sa mga solids? The first is called volume. Volume is what? The amount of space it occupies. So if you happen to see a basketball, the amount of air inside the ball is the volume of the solid. While the amount of material covering the ball is the surface area. So yan ang madalas na i-compute natin. The volume and the surface area of different solids. As I mentioned, we will talk about rectangular solids. So when we have a rectangular solid, these are the faces that you need to remember. Okay? Yung una yung tinatawag na lateral area. The lateral area are the faces outside the solid. Lahat naman yan outside the solid, di ba? Hindi. Meron kasi tayong tinatawag na top and bottom area. So, yung top at saka bottom area, tanggalin nyo dun sa solid, lahat na nakapaligid doon sa solid ngayon, ang tawag ay lateral surface area. So, as you could see there, area 3 plus area 4 plus area 5 plus area 6 represents the lateral area of this solid. While the total surface area is the sum of all the areas of the planes covering the solid. A polyhedron is a solid which is bounded by polygons joined at their edges. We also have what we call regular polyhedra or platonic solids. And these are solids naman whose faces are identical regular polygons. At madalas, ito yung mga i-compute natin ng mga dimensions. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, mas madali para sa atin i-compute kapag regular yung mga planes na nakapaligid dun sa mga solids na yon. And we call them polyhedron or polyhedra in plural. Similar polyhedra have the same number of faces that are similar placed and whose corresponding polyhedral angles are congruent. So kung meron tayong tinatawag na similar planes, meron din tayong tinatawag na mga similar solids. If their corresponding surfaces, and segments, are corresponding, therefore they are similar. And for this, we may use this ratio and proportion formulas to solve for the missing parts. Okay? So, tignan nyo lang, parang paggamit lang ng plane. The area 1 and area 2 there, or the capital A's there, represent the area of the solid. Okay, kung mapapansin nyo, hindi ko sinasabing total surface area or lateral surface area. So, when we say area, it's what? The total surface area of the solid. So, we could use these properties for some time. At dito tayo magfo-focus ngayon sa video na to. The rectangular prism called Parallelepiped and the other one which is called cube. Tama, no? Hindi parallelepiped ang basa dyan, kundi Parallelepiped. So, a rectangular parallelepiped is a polyhedron whose 6 faces are all rectangles. Okay? And here we have 3 dimensions, of course. The length, the height, and the depth. Now, these are the formulas that we could use to solve different dimensions of the rectangular solid. First is the diagonal. It's just the square root of the sum of the squares of its 3 dimensions. While the volume is as easy as area of the base times the height. Now, since the base is a rectangle, therefore, the volume of the parallelepiped is just equal to length times width, which is the base of the solid, n times the height. Tama, length times width times height lang. How about the surface area of the rectangular solid? Well, you just need to add all the plane figures surrounding the solid if you want to get the total surface area. That is why here, TSA or total surface area is equal to 2HW because we have the dimension of the front face and the back face being equal. Tama? So, yung front face, back face natin equal, kaya 2 times HW yan. Yung side naman natin, dalawang sides natin are length times height, correct? So, you just need to twice them. And last one, finally, is the top and bottom, which has the formula length times width. So, kung mapapansin nyo, kinuha lang lahat ng area. Yung mga similar, minultiply lang sa 2. While the lateral surface area, we will just consider the faces on the side of the solid. A cube is a polyhedron whose 6 faces are all squares. The 3 dimensions of a cube are equal to each other. All the faces of a cube are also congruent squares. And we have these formulas that we could use to answer the preceding problems. To compute for the diagonal, you just need the formula square root of 3 times a and the volume to be a cubed because all faces are equal. For the lateral surface area, the formula is just 4a squared. The total surface area is 6a squared because we have 6 equal faces. Let's have our first problem for the rectangular solids. How many more 2-inch cubes can be placed into a box having the dimensions 14 by 8 by 10? So if we will draw our rectangular solid, this is probably 14, this is 10, and the height is 8 inches, right? So we need to place a cube inside this, di ba? At ano ang dimensions ng ating cube? It's 2 by 2. Okay, so yung length, width, tsaka height ng cube, pare-parehas lang. Ilalagay natin sa loob. Pero ang tanong, ilan kaya ang magkakasyang cubes dyan sa rectangular solid natin? Okay, the formula for this will be simple. Why? Because we just need to divide the volume of the box by the volume of the cube. Diba? Kasi gusto nating bilangin kung ilan yung kakasya eh. E di-divide natin yung malaking box sa mga maliliit na cubes. Now, for the volume of the box, the formula will be length times width times height. While cube will have the formula a squared. Tama? A represents the side or the edges of the cube. Pahirapan pa ba natin? Simple substitution. 18 times 10 divided by 2 squared. And the answer now is 280. So we can place 280 2-inch cubes inside the rectangular box. Oops, typo error. Walang 1 dito. Pero don't worry, the answer is still 280. Kamali lang ako kasi 80 to ng sulat. Pero sa calculator ko, it's 280 and it's 8. Okay. So here, we need to determine the total surface area of a cube if its diagonal measures 54 inches. So we have a cube. So we need to draw a cube. So ano ba itsura ng cube? Siyempre, equal yung mga edges natin. Pag cube, di ba? Ayan. So, meron daw diagonal itong cube na to. Let's say yung diagonal niya ay mula dito hanggang dito. Okay? And this diagonal is 54 what? 54 inches. Correct? Double check nga natin. Okay, 54 inches nga. Kaso, hindi yan ang pinapahanap talaga. Ang pinapahanap ay total surface area. So, meaning, to solve for the total surface area, we need the edge of the cube or one of the edges of the cube. Kaso, ang problema, paano natin hahanapin yon? Don't you worry because the formula for the diagonal is square root of 3a. And since we have the value for the diagonal, which is 54, it will be easier for us now to solve for a. So, tama, we need to solve for a first in this case. So, since the diagonal is 54, what is now the value of a? Dividing both sides by square root of 3 will give us the value of a as what? Cancel. So, a is equal to 54 square root of 3. And we're not yet done. Pero maganda, meron tayong value for the edge of the cube. How about the total surface area? How are we going to solve for the total surface area? The total surface area is just equal to 6a squared. So therefore, if the a is 54 square root over square root of 3 squared, what is now the total surface area of the given? Yes, TSA is equal to 5,832 squared inches. Tama, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, pwede ko namang gawing decimal ito. Kaso hindi ko na ginawang decimal kasi it's not the final answer. So, para less error sa estimate natin, no? As it is ko siyang sinubstitute dito sa formula ng TSA for us to have an exact answer which is 5,832 squared inches. Number 3. How many square inches of material is needed to create an open-top rectangular solid whose volume is 54 cubic inches? Assume that the length and the width are of the same measurement and that the height is twice the length. So, analyzing the figure, it might look like this. And of course, we need to remember that this part is open. Tama, it's an open top. Pero hindi yan ang sinasabi sa atin eh. Ang sabi rin sa atin, maliban doon, okay, ito daw, kung ito yung width mo, let's say x is the width, the length is also x. So, ibig sabihin, equal sila. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng length and width are of the same measurement. While the height is twice the length. If the length is x, what is the height? Yes, the height is 2x. It's twice the length. Tama? Okay, what is our concern now? Our main concern is to find the amount of material needed to create this box. So therefore, we need to compute for the surface area. But to do that, no, we need the dimensions, length, width, and height. Eh, ang kaso yun ang nawawala, di ba? X lang ang meron tayo dyan. But guys, don't forget, the volume is given. The volume for this is 54 cubic inches. Right? So if the volume is 54 cubic inches, what formula are you going to use to find the surface area? Yes, the formula for the volume, which is, as you all know, is length times width times height. Substituting now the x for the length and another x for the width, you need to multiply this to their height or to the height of the box, which is equal to 2x. And by substituting the volume, which is equal to 54 as given, we have now the formula x times x. Multiply mo muna to ha. So pag minultiply yan, the answer is 2x cubed. Ayan. Ngayon, bakit ginawa natin yan? Kasi nga, hinahanap natin yung value ng x. Now, given this, can we find or solve for the value of x? Of course. All you need to do is what? Yes, correct. You just need to divide both sides by 2. Dividing both sides by 2 will give you 27 equals x cubed. And getting the cube root of both sides will give you x equals 3 inches. Ayan. Meron na tayo ng value ng x. Tandaan nyo, length ang x, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, hindi cubic inches ang ilalagay nyong unit, kundi inch lang. Okay? Now, how do we solve for the surface area now? Okay, ano bang formula pwede natin gamitin? Kung nakalimutan nyo yung formula kanina, pwede nyo namang tignan mismo yung figure eh. Para makuha ang total surface area, you just need to what? Get the areas of each face. Tama? So kung mapapansin nyo, yung area sa baba ang pwede natin kuhanin una. At paano kukunin yung area sa baba dyan? Yes, we just need to what? Multiply x to x. Bakit? Kasi length times width lang naman. But I don't know if you notice, it's a square di ba? Kaya x squared yan. Okay? So una, compute mo muna yung bottom, which is, excuse me, x squared. Now, anong gagawin ko susunod? Paano yung top? Open top tayo, remember? So, ibig sabihin, enough na yung nakuha natin sa ilalim. At kailangan na lang natin ngayon yung lateral surface area. But how do we get the formula for the surface area? Or how do we solve for the surface area in this case? Simple lang. Pansinin nyo tong side na face natin. To get the area of that, we need the formula length times width because it's a rectangle. So, it's 2x times x or 2x squared. Right? Pero, kung papansinin nyo rin yung nasa harapan, di ba? To get the area of that, you also need x times 2x. Bakit? Ibig sabihin, lahat ng lateral surface face natin, or I mean, lahat ng faces natin na nasa sides are equal. At ilan lahat sila? Yes, they are 4. So, therefore, guys, okay? Yung formula natin para sa isang side, which is 2x squared, imumultiply ko pa sa 4. Okay, mukhang hindi na nababasa masyado dyan. Imumultiply ko pa siya sa 4. Bakit 4? Kasi 4 yung faces sa lateral. Tama. At yung formula sa bawat face na nasa side ay 2x times x, or in short, 2x squared. And now, we have the total surface area as x squared plus 8x squared. Or, I don't know if you notice, x squared plus 8x squared can be added in algebra, which is 9x squared. At syempre, magiging madali na ang pag-compute ng total surface area because we know the value of x, which is 3. So, solving for TSA now, we have 9 times 3 squared, which is equal to 81 squared inches. Pero bakit 81 squared inches? Oh, remember, surface area tayo, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, area yung ating unit. And this is now the final answer. Number 4, we need to excavate for a basement 7 by 12. A man had the earth removed to a depth of 3 meters. Okay, so maghuhukay daw ng lupa, siguro magtatayo ng bahay. Ang dimension, 7 by 12. Ang lalim ng hukayan, 3 meters. So in short, we have a rectangular prism here. Right? Or, dahil hindi pa natin alam pala yung prism, rectangular parallelepiped. Okay. So, pares lang yan actually. Yan. So, meron tayong rectangular parallelepiped. Right? At anong dimensions ng rectangular parallelepiped natin? We have 7 by 12. Amang 7 to. And then, the depth is 3. But that's not the concern. How much did it cost daw if we need to pay 100 pesos per cubic meter of earth removed? Simple lang. Edi, get the volume and then multiply it to the amount. Okay? So, volume muna ang problema natin. The formula for the volume is length times width times height. So, the volume is just equal to, well, according to the given, it will be 12 times 7 times 3, which is equal to what? Yes. Using your calculator, you'll get 252 cubic meters. Oh, isang problema pa. Di pa tapos yan, di ba? Kailangan i-multiply natin yan para malaman natin yung payment natin. So, for you to get the payment, you just need to multiply the volume times the amount per cubic inches. So, using this formula, we'll have the payment P equal to the volume, which is 252 cubic meters, multiplied by the said amount, which is 100 pesos per 1 cubic meter. Tama? Multiplying 252 by 100, the payment now is 25,200 pesos. Ayan. So, pag nagpahukay daw kayo ng ganyan, that's 25,200. Well, malapit sa katotohanan yan. Mahal talaga nagpapahukay ng ganyan. Kaya yung iba, kumukuha na lang sila ng mga tao para maghukay. Pero kung 12 by 7 by 3 yan, mas mabilis kung gagamit ng makina, backhoe, for instance, di ba? At yan talaga yung amount na babayaran ninyo kung ganyan kalawak yung lupa na papahukay nyo. Okay?